Hi YouTube. A few of you have asked for me to make a follow-up video on my cheapest rotary drum filter for koi ponds video, and here it is. I finally got it into the ground. First thing I want to talk about is that this rotary drum filter is a pump-fed system by default. So it's not something I mentioned in the first video. I didn't really realize it until I tried to make it gravity fed. So you'll notice I had to make some modifications to the actual drum filter to accommodate that. So if you look at the first video, the only intake that I have is that little gray. I think it's like an 1.25 inch, 1.5 pipe, and what I had to do to allow for the gravity fed system is to enlarge it. So I added one and two different intakes for 2-inch pipes that come from my bottom drain and also my skimmer. So those feed now into the drum filter at the bottom, and you can kind of see the top where they go in. Here's one of them right there. You can see at the bottom that the water goes in at the bottom, and that allows for enough flow for this to function properly. By itself, it just didn't have enough flow in the 1.25 inch pipe. So yeah, that was a modification. Each of these bulkheads cost me about $10. So about a $20 add-on, and then with the additional piping that used to be there. The second thing you'll notice in this area is a sump pump. So because I had to put it in the ground, the discharge of the filter would just kind of flow downhill, and it goes into this bucket through this little tube. So the discharge, the drum filter rotates. The discharge comes out through here, down this pipe, and then into that basin at the bottom. That basin, once it gets full, gets discharged through the sump pump all the way up to my little Japanese maple and a little water bucket over there. So gets filled, and we use it to water the plants. Right? And if it overflows, it just ends up watering that maple up there. So yeah, that's how the intake and the outlet of the discharge works. So far so good. It's been running fairly consistently for about a week now, and all things are good so far. I do want to say that this, even with the additional 2-inch drains and 2-inch intakes that I added in, I still can't run my pump at full capacity. It's now, in the past I could, so it's now going at about 60% capacity. Otherwise, what'll happen is the water will drain too quickly for the intakes to keep up, and the air will get into the system and the pump will shut off. So I have to keep it around somewhere between 50 and 60% capacity. Not sure if I can fix this. I thought about like adding a third pipe to actually use this 1.25 inch pipe to add to the flow, but I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze, because I've got to do some more plumbing, and with the pond already built up, it's kind of gonna be a pain. But so far so good. I'm running the drum filter. It had to be lowered to the level of the pond, so that if the pump just happens to turn off, it won't overflow into the basin. So the level of the pond is just below this V drain right here, and so if the pump shuts off, the water won't just consistently flow and drain my pond, right? So I've had to do a lot of measurements and leveling, and just to get it exactly right. So with these with the base to keep it perfectly level and at the right level. The other modification I had to do was on the other side of this, you'll see the sensor for the water level. This sensor was originally on this side, on the intake side, and that used to work great for a pump fed system, but it wasn't exactly what you need for a gravity fed system. So if you look at all the other more expensive rotary drum filters, they have the sensor on the filter side, so after on the clean side, which is on this side over here. So I had to modify it. I had to remove the sensor on this side, kind of like flip it upside down, so that it only triggers when the water level goes too low, right? How it used to work is that if the water level got too high on the intake side, it would trigger. So now I had to flip it upside down and then work it that way so that it'll now trigger when the water level gets too low. And then I just used some little epoxy putty to get it to work there. So as you know, I'll go ahead and trigger it, but you can see if this gets too low, triggers the filtration. You can see the water coming in here on that side, and once it gets a little high, you'll probably hear the sump pump trigger off, and there it goes. Yep, and shoots the water up to the maple up there. So those are the modifications I had to make. It took me about a day, a couple days to get it all working correctly, and another day to kind of get the leveling and the install, of digging the hole and everything like that. So yeah, now it's been working for about a little over a week now. Everything seems to be working fine. The one other thing that I wanted to mention that I did not like about this system, or a negative about this entire thing, is that I've had this drum filter in for as a pump fed system for about 4 to 5 months now, and I noticed that a couple things were rusting, which is not great. One, as you can kind of see right here, is that screw at the bottom of it. It's already starting to rust, but that's not a big deal because it's just the cap cover. But more importantly, you can see right there, that bearing where the gear is coming out of, that is starting to rust, which is not good, right? Everything else seems to be out of stainless steel and not rusting, but that bearing, you can still see the rust on it. That's it cleaned off, and you can still see some of the copper color or the reddish color rust on it. So what I had to do with both of these is I used some polyurethane coating essentially so I cleaned the rust off, got a little paintbrush, and then I did some polyurethane to try to protect it from the spray, and hopefully that'll help out, because the last thing I want is rust to jam up those bearings and then the gear not able to turn. So yeah, that's definitely a negative for this drum filter. I don't know why they would put a bearing that can potentially rust. So hopefully that coating protects it and I won't have to worry about it. The other thing I figured out was there's no instructions on how to change the timer for the controls here, right? For how long the trigger thing goes off. So by default, it goes on for 30 seconds. And I finally figured out that this button right here lets you change the settings. So if I click this one right here on that side, you can see, I'm not sure what that setting is. I'm not sure what this setting is, but that is the number of seconds that it's going to go off. So it's currently set at 17 seconds, which is a 1.5 rotation of the drum. So I kind of timed it, and if you press that button right here, it'll actually trigger this to go off. So I'm going to do that real quick. There we go. So I'm going to do exactly 1.5 rotations with it, which is perfect because the setting consistent. I think it's perfect because you want it to clean one entire time and then flip to the other side. So you don't want it to be on the same side all the time. So 1.5 rotations is pretty much what you want, which is the minimum amount of water loss, but still have the drum filter cleaned. Right? So yeah, with all these modifications, it was kind of a a lengthy process to figure out. Definitely was not a out of the box turnkey kind of solution. I definitely had to do a decent amount of modification and trial and error with all these pipes and the intakes, and obviously I still don't have enough flow for my pump. My pump is an iron mite pump that's over on that side over there. I've made a previous video of that drum filter system, and it's working great. Because of this RDF that I added in here, I no longer need this static bed filter anymore. So my next step eventually is to get rid of this, turn this static bed drum into a moving bed. So instead of one moving bed, I will have two moving beds, because this no longer gets dirty and it is no longer needed to remove the fines and the particulates out of the water, because it's all handled by the drum filter now. All in all, I've noticed quite a big difference in the clarity of the pond. It has gotten a lot cleaner and is always crystal clear now. The koi are very, very happy. My ammonia numbers and my nitrates and nitrites are perfect now. They've definitely improved, and my water quality is doing really, really well. So, was it worth it? Yes. Was it a decent amount of work to turn this from a pump feed to a gravity fed system? A lot of work. Yes, it was. But for the price that I got it for, which was under $300, it was great. The pump I know has gone up in price a little bit. It's a slightly different model that's now on Amazon. The links are in the description, but that one includes, I believe it includes a UV filter now, where mine did not. But I think it's now $3.99 for the 3,000 gallon per hour system. But so yeah, you pay a little bit more, but you get an additional feature out of it. So it's up to you if you think it's still worth it. But at $3.99, I still think it's a great deal. There's really nothing else on the market that even comes close still, even at that price. But if you snagged it for under 300, like $279, I think is what I paid for it, then that was a killer deal. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, throw it in the comments, and I appreciate you checking this out. All right, have a good one. Okay, bye bye.